traffic curable?
Investments, funds are put out for investments and was rolled into investment.
Today, democracy in Nigeria has become largely transactional.
Wow, if there was anything that you could call frustration, I found out. Second week of March 2024 in Lagos. Took me 6 hours to travel from the Lagos business in Ajah to Victoria Island. Victoria Garden City, VGC, and people just found living there a nightmare. But it wasn't just that direction. People going from Victoria Island to Badagry Highway spent 4 hours. What about the Third Mainland Bridge? Under repairs or not, and the troubles that people have experienced. Is Lagos traffic curable? I say this because I remember in 1972, 73, people abandoning their cars on Adirogun Street in Surulere and just walking home at 1 a.m. after having been in traffic. I even remember a pilot who arrived Lagos and was going to his home in Ikoyi, and traffic was so bad in Yaba, he came out and somebody said, yeah, that's the captain that goes on a flight. And he said, yeah, took me 6 hours to bring you from London to Lagos, 7 hours after I'm still trying to get home. Is Lagos traffic curable? The answer is in commitment to doing it. Because, I've been traveling to places like Bangkok that had worse traffic 30 years ago, and today are fairly free of traffic. Why can't we solve the Lagos traffic problem? Well, the gang has some ideas on how to do that and has suffered through plenty of that. So keep it with Patitos Gang and you will hear them. Solution got to be found, or the madness will take a new dimension. People are so frustrated, they're doing crazy things. I don't want people jumping off Third Mainland Bridge just because of traffic. We'll see you with the gang. Welcome. This is a very sober gang. And Patitos Gang is on a sober note because for some people to participate in this show, they've had to spend hours in traffic. Lagos traffic, the menace, the trials and tribulations that they bring to people. Is it curable? And I ask this question very deliberately because as a Lagos boy, I go back many years to 1973, when people used to just abandon their cars on Adirogun and walk home. Everybody took on all Africa games. My goodness. But the excuse back then was that we didn't have roads, we didn't have infrastructure. Western Avenue was just one lane going, one lane coming. Kurodu Road was like that. And then we expanded, at Third Mainland Bridge, and still. I mean, to spend nearly 6 hours journeying from the Lagos Business School in Ajah to Victoria Island. This is something I used to drive in 20 minutes. It happened 2 or 3 times to me in the course of March of 2024. How does anybody live? Do you have a life when you live like that? And people have to do this every day. How did they manage? Actually, how did they manage to stay sane?
Yeah, that's it.
You know, what do you do? How do you deal with that? You know, Nigeria has thrown a lot of things at people, and creative solutions have been found. When I was in the industry, it was totally crazy. We had cement armada. So ships were lined up for miles into the Atlantic. And so solution had to be found because you couldn't get anything out of the ports for months. So some companies hired Chinook helicopters that go 10 miles to the Atlantic and lift a container and bring to their bonded warehouse. That's the solution. So tell me how we'll do that with traffic here. I mean, maybe somebody can lift your car. I don't know, because the manpower that we are
Wasting.
just incinerating,
Yeah.
the time that is being lost, right? That's why there's no development. All this is part of it.
Let's say this. I think it's a good thing you linked that example of the solution that was found for the cement amanda. In the same, it's a good place to start from, because the way we deal with problems has a lot to do with our perception of that problem. The managers that make sure that whatever happened, their cement, their raw material got to their company, is because in their mind, whatever happens, production must happen.
Yeah.
And therein lies the key of how we deal with problems. You see, because for some reason, those who should do not care about the loss of manpower, the time, the discomfort. That has made us numb to the gravity of the problem.
I think it's
Each time there is traffic, I always wonder about something that, what if somebody has a heart attack now and they have to
And they
get to
do.
the hospital?
They do.
And they do.
Yes.
We do not see it that way. So if we're going to think of the solution, let me stop first by saying that let us look at the problem in another way. Then we'll look at the solution. First, we need to know that this is a great thing. It's not a normal thing. It's not a slight nuisance. You know, it's something, it's a threat to our ability to lead life as a human being. I think that's where we should start from.
Yeah.
you just described a private sector reaction
Yes.
and a public sector reaction to the same problem.
Yes.
For the private sector, they thought of getting an helicopter and going to pick up their goods. For the public sector, nobody gives it a thought. And that's where and roads and traffic fall under public service. And there is no way, except the public service is re-engineered to think in terms of profit and loss. Our public sector is run like charity. Government gives money and money gets spent. Now, if government recoups money, fine. If it doesn't, we rule it off as a loss. So the ways to look at this thing is born out of how we see public service in Nigeria. So if we want to solve traffic in Lagos, we have to look at traffic in Lagos as a business case, really, and begin to confess solutions. How businesses solve their problems, it will be the same way. We'll sit down and say, look, how do we deal with traffic? Why are our roads full of potholes? Why do our roundabouts don't flow?
You know the frightening thing about some of these, when you come to see that they are actually man-made.
Yes. And that's what we're going to
You take the case of the Ekpe Expressway. The roads are properly tarred.
Yes.
At least the ones I experienced recently. You find that a group of traders around, I don't know where this place is, just before Aja, just take over the street, block it. There's a narrowing because of construction over VGC, so that loop then adds to the. But the original thing is irresponsibility by some traders and then people suffer, really suffer.
But you see, bro, this needs to be said. Our road is a mirror of our life. If you understand Nigeria, you can learn a lot. Stay on the road and look at it.
Yeah.
What do you find on the road? You find trading. Okay, so always there, because that's who we are. We're traders. You find badly behaved people, because that's who we are. A lot of people are badly behaved. You find a lot of ignorance. You really see that these people are more ignorant than evil the way they drive. Because otherwise, why would somebody on a bike try to cut me off on an SUV? Where if somebody happens, you're dying straight away, wrong or right. So that ignorance has led to a low level of even the instinct of self-preservation. And where the self-preservation comes in, what comes in is self-centeredness.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that the way and this goes back to understanding the road. We need to understand the way the road is built is an acquired civic taste. You have to understand the road. A lot of people think, and here we go to the solution, that our major problem is over traffic. It is not. Let's go back to the 70s. In this same country, even before Europeans started to do environmental concern, they tried to do even number, odd number. It's something that's been on. Our problem, mainly for somebody who has stayed to study, because if you've been shocked by traffic before, you think about it the way you're doing now. Two major causes: bad roads, but even more is bad behavior.
Yeah.
And if we want to solve the problem, that is where I think we need to come from.
And you know, we have all these last mile people that are supposed to be running around. The day that this thing goes wrong, you don't see them where they should be.
The only thing that's improved in the last mile is that uniforms are cleaner. But we go ahead.
Sometimes they are even the problem.
Sometimes they can be, yes.
I mean, or worsens the problem when they come out. So they are not.
I think I had a scenario in Aolo Road during, I think, around December last year, where we had a program, a peace walk. So the road was blocked, and the last man was on the road, but they're not really doing it like that. So I had to stand out. I was on the road, Aolo Road, for like 3 hours. I knew when I got where I had to be on trips. 3 hours, and we're trying to regulate people, but I just feel people are just ill-mannered when it comes to road. They don't care. They don't care. They just want to do their own thing. What they feel is right for them at that particular time.
They think they're selfish, but they're short-sighted.
They're short-sighted. That's the whole point.
Because they end up suffering more. Let me tell you.
Yes.
Talk about when you mentioned Awolowo Road, I kind of smiled because I was trying to explain some economic theory years ago, and I thought Lagos traffic is a classic of trying to explain this.
Yeah.
So I decided to do a study to, you know, Raymond Njoku coming to Awolowo Road.
Yes,
that area.
that place.
So I will go and stand there, and when they will go, everybody's tied down, nobody's moving. I'll go and ask the Danfo or whatever. So what's the problem? Who created the problem? It's always some other person. Okay, it's there. It's not you. Don't you know that this thing that you have done now has tied up this side? I thought, oh, don't mind them, it's them.
So bad character is what, like, you see
What's
the Lagos bad behavior, like you put it. The Lagos bus driver is a huge part of Lagos.
They have no clue about
And the
the
fact that
rules
they
of
are
the road.
ignorant as the word, right? And they are always entitled to go first. You know, they don't give way
to other people.
they must
And that brings something a matter. It tells you that. So you look at Lagos traffic. One of the things I've noticed about Lagos traffic is that Lagos is a place that is full of Christian cars driven by Christian drivers. Because when you go there, you always see these Jesus loves and everything there, and their driving does not say. So once we wait for the government, maybe one of the things we can propose is that churches and mosques, not even every Sunday, once a quarter, should do a sermon about the Christian driver. What does a Christian driver look like? What does a man of faith, a woman of faith, what does that driving? Maybe we should say to them, if Christ was in this car with you, how will you drive? If Muhammad was in the next car, how will you drive? Maybe that can be another solution we can propose.
Did you see the video of the woman on the Ekpe Express who was so exasperated? I mean, at 1 p.m., children who were going to school that started at 8 a.m. were still trying to go to school, still in the and the woman just kind of like lost it, and you know, this video went viral. Now, tell me, how do you think somebody who goes through that is able to produce and work or have sanity? You know, not talk of just produce at work. So, who should be dealing with this? The Lagos state government once said that they would put to mental test people who behave in certain way on the roads. The psychiatrists must have all failed the exam because
they came from that traffic.
But the truth noticed that we have more defaulters as government.
The big
and
men. Yes, they're the ones who
So
cause
they
the
do the one ways, they do they follow the one ways, they go on the BRT lanes once the traffic is slow, you know, and nobody is really checking them. And once they
There
blow
are
a
concepts
siren,
alien to us, valuable concepts like citizen arrest, rebellion. Those are things that are useful for democratic systems, but are alien to our lives.
citizen arrest in Lagos is very idealistic. It would,
Where will you take the person to?
I don't know, honestly.
And then you see people who are even fighting with their driver. I told you don't take that place, and the driver. But this dysfunctional state of existence is costing the city so much. And so, beyond lamentations, there's a major need for policy to engage this matter. It's not enough to say, oh, today we'll give mental tests, tomorrow we'll... Because it is really, really possible to properly train those drivers.
Absolutely.
And the day they do not, you just catch, your license is withdrawn.
It's not the lack
And he
of,
cannot work.
It's not the lack of policy, sir.
Yeah.
It's not the lack
Yeah,
of
what I mean,
enough policy.
No implementation.
Implementation.
That's what he's talking
That's what I'm
about.
talking about.
Yeah.
You
to
don't
do right.
do right. Last man guy does not even have discretion.
Yeah.
It's automatic.
Automatic.
You know,
exactly.
before you.
Automatic and automated.
Yeah. So let's take the easiest way. Fines.
Yeah.
If you say you're going to take the man to psychiatric test, that will wahala. They will take money from him there. The moment the camera sights you, this is how much you pay.
Yeah.
The Dapo driver that pays 10,000 naira 3 times in one day will never do wrong.
Exactly.
True.
You know?
But implementation of that is the problem. You know, these days you go to licensing office to renew your car documents and you see a fine on it.
Yeah.
And you don't know how you acquire
Very
that
bad.
fine.
That's part of the thing.
And they ask, and you must pay that fine before your
Yes,
documents
yes, yes.
get renewed. That's okay, but I hope it's not arbitrary.
No,
Because
it's
I don't
not.
know how they, I don't
They
know.
should have informed the media.
Yeah, because-
that's part of an automated system.
Yeah. The
So you want
the
to-
day after that happens, you should get
Good.
the
Alert for
information. This is what has happened, where it happened, how it happened, and you know what you did, and you deal with it.
And it seems like it's more private vehicles that get those.
Well, you wouldn't
those
know.
fines.
Yes, you wouldn't know. But as an
Because
industry,
I don't really think those yellow buses has particulars. I'm not sure.
Maybe they're not even registered. So, but even, let me just even leave.
I don't know if the driver has any driver license. Because how can you be driving and you're using
And this is
2-wire,
serious. You're
open
taking-
wire, and
yeah, beyond the yellow buses, that's the
It's
you're
much
going
more
to
than
contact.
the yellow buses. Many people, the drivers, in fact, government vehicles should be the first to check.
Yes.
Because you see, traffic is normally going okay until one big man does the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Then other
And everybody just follows.
Follows.
And so the need to do something about it is real. Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back from this break, perhaps there are solutions. I don't know. I've run out of ideas. Or maybe you have ideas and we can suggest something that will lead to this thing being fixed. If not, some people are jackpotting just because of traffic in Lagos. I mean, they just had it. They don't know how else. They're running out of their mind and they say, okay, I'm gone. This is Patitos Gang and we'll be right back. And we are back. We're still talking traffic. Thank God that we can smile about it, but it is not funny when you experience it.
no, it's not.
You know, especially these days with aging people like us, who need to use the washroom more frequently. You know, you look in some cars and you're wondering, how are those old men managing? You know, so what can we do from point of view of interventions that can reduce this? Because as we know, most of these are man-made. Is it increase number of asthma people? Is it prosecute very sternly those who violate the law? Is it build more roads? Is it look the pace of infrastructure development in Lagos may seem like interesting, but we compare with what happened in a very short time in places like Shanghai, and you know that we're not really developing infrastructure in Lagos. It's way behind where we should be. The population is growing every day. More people are coming to this city, which was one of the mistakes of the politics of Lagos. Because what we should have done is encourage 10 Lagoses in Nigeria, but we hogged on to it, and Lagos is a mess. So what should we be doing?
Well, I think a bit of all the things you said. So we need to look at engineering, we need to look at education, and then we need to look for a general overview. Engineering is where possible to address what you've said indirectly, our infrastructural deficit. We need to really understand that we have a massive infrastructural deficit. And one of those deficits is when it comes to transportation. We should be using the rail more. We should be using the sea to ferry people.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess within hours of this conversation, I should be in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
And in Hong Kong, I don't think of taking the traffic. I just
Exactly.
take a ferry.
Yeah, exactly.
So, why would anybody who lives in Apapa and works on the marina, for example,
Want to be on the road.
want to be on the road?
Yeah.
So safer forms of marine transport needs to be
But
encouraged,
we need to encourage that. The trains, the water needs to be
used more
But we
frequently.
also need to educate them because you see, no matter how tight the situation is, I have noticed across the world that if you're dealing with civil people, it is better. There are times when we have a standstill. We shouldn't have a standstill. Even when there's traffic, i.e. the usual so many people on the road, it should be slow. That's why they tend to go slow or come from. We should be going slow, not total standstill. Total standstill is when people blocks the traffic.
Yeah.
And that takes you back to that thing when I say that the road is a mirror of our life. It tells you the level of our intelligence. When people cannot understand that for my self-interest, it's better I let that other person go. So that's a very crucial thing. So we need to really educate people about to use the road. There's something going on with this deficit. Have you noticed that the roads are even getting narrower instead of bigger? Because they then go and do some kind of beautification thing or go and put some space between the road. No, we need more bridges for the road. There are areas, if you're coming from Lagos, Ibadan, through Ikeja Expressway, there should be a bridge. I have counted about 11 bridges that should be done in Lagos in different areas, because once you do that, it allows a lot of diversion of the main traffic. The question of how do we fund it is another question. I advocate for private partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, okay, all kinds of things have happened with the Lagos Expressway, but there is no question that private capital should have come a long time and
do
done
that.
the so-called coastal road. There should be at least 4 major parallel expressways. If you want
Going
call
to-
them,
going to
towards
Ekpe.
Ekpe from Lagos, and we're talking about it for years. You know, how are we going to live building the Dangote refinery, export-free zone, Newport, all of those on that stretch with this one
Road that just go there.
I mean, I was in it a couple of weeks ago, and somebody was very nice to me, so to speak, and passed me through some gated community to the back of the mall there to follow some bush tracks, what is supposed to be coastal road or something,
Yeah.
to come out now Ibrahim Adesoye after 2 hours. And I thought, my God.
But everything is security.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're wondering, we didn't know where we're going,
That's
just
the
going,
point.
coming back, inside all this. I didn't know. Then we came out, Gombo or something like that, and eventually Ibrahim Adesoye estate.
That's okay.
Those should have been roads that are well done for years. So anyway, solutions are possible, but people have to be very focused
And
on making
deliberate,
those happen.
yeah.
Very deliberate.
Very
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 deliberate.
deliberate. Just
These
that
days,
people
when
need it.
when constructions are going on, have you noticed the construction company thinks it's doing the public a favor,
favor, yeah.
and so they make it so hard
It's an
for
issue.
yeah.
Starting from the lawman before. They think because they're clearing your debt, you should just shut up and queue behind them. Again, the rule like a mirror of our life. Then the law enforcement agents are more of extortion than road carrier. You see them from all the road people, from the federal and FRIS, from the road safety, all of them. They go to strategic places to block you, and whilst doing that, they cause traffic. I was making a point when I have the time to tell them, now look behind you, look at what you are causing.
Yeah.
There's a time of advocating. Let me do it again now. Maybe we should transform the duty of our police force and the transport enforcement people to 50% cleaning roads. Instead of them to be stopping people for particulars, let them be taking care of potholes themselves, or at least pointing their hand to say, we have a pothole on this corner, and let the traffic flow. Because really, we can automate violation of traffic particulars, and let camera do that, and let policemen be in charge of.
But there's no lights for the cameras to function.
But okay, let them use the one they can do with light. If there's no light, no revenue.
Like I think 3 days ago, 4 days ago, at Ojolema, where that Loma vehicle fell
on a tricycle,
and people were actually using their torchlight to check if they are survivors. There's no light. So how those cameras work where there's no light, even on the bridge.
And it's
that
so
particular
easy.
spot, I'm very scared of that spot.
It's so easy to please Nigerians because the few times at these negotiations where you've actually seen government intervene. So, for example, a trailer drops and then you see last night people come, because there have been instances like that. It must be said. People are so happy. What that tells you, the signal people are sending to government is that if government should move and do the right thing, people will appreciate it. So it's not
Nigerians are easy to govern, actually. It's just the lack of will on the part of the governor. Yeah, to do their work, you know. Nigerians can obey the rule if there is adequate implementation of consequences.
Yeah, consequence management is a big problem in our country.
Right.
Yeah, because people don't think anything will happen to anybody who does the wrong thing. So
I think we just lack principles.
Well, yeah, we do, maybe in some areas, but because there is no consequence for not...
Yes. You see, I don't believe that Nigerians are any different from Americans or British.
Yeah.
And I give
it's
humans.
Example,
I say, check at the airport. We behave like some humans trying to get on the flight going to London. And as soon as we get to London, everybody changes behavior. The same guys. What happened? My joke is that there's some kind of water that they give them in the aircraft, and it changes their behavior.
Or maybe it's that mosquito thing that they fleet.
Yeah, I think so. On the way back, the thing changes and brings them back to Nigeria. It's just about institutions.
And
where institutions work and its consequence, people behave differently. I tell you a story of one Easter Sunday. I was on a flight going to London. There were like 6 or 7 governors traveling. Mimiko was on that flight. Sanusi was then governor of Central Bank. He was on that flight. Chibika Mechi was governor of Rivers. He was on that flight. And when we landed in London, first of all, Lagos was chaos. So many governors traveling the same night. We get to London, every one of them carries their bag, going. So we enter the elevator and I begin to laugh. And Amechi says to me, okay, goodbye. Tell us. What do you want to tell us? I said, see all of you behaving like human beings. Why couldn't you do that in Lagos? And so, institutions. Our institutions are too weak for us to have a functional society. And dysfunctions reign.
To ensure that consequences are followed through, right? When you get, if the last man enters your car, you know what that means. It's not like he's taking you to Lasma.
Why should he be taking you to anywhere? Don't give you a ticket.
Simple. But oftentimes you ask them, what did I do? They say, open your door, let's open your door. I'm like, why?
That's part of the education.
You know?
Educate road users, and we have to educate enforcers as well. But I think a fascinating challenge, which I would have, we don't appreciate thinkers anymore, but I think a fascinating challenge to institutions of learning and experts in the country would be, for example, how do we turn this challenge of traffic to an opportunity? Because in reality, if we sit down and say we want to build infrastructure for this, it can not only solve the problem we have, but also generate revenues, create jobs in solving this problem. So this big challenge can actually be an opportunity.
Let me give you an exact example of this kind of thing. From many years ago that I suggested, I said, look, one of the reasons you have these terrible traffic jams is the potholes. And they can be real. If you go to where there are potholes and menace that can slow down traffic. It's incredible. Why don't we give contracts to gangs of young people? These 5 engineering graduates who are doing nothing, they create a gang, give them a contract, say, look, these next 2 miles on this Ujuelegba road or whatever. If we ever see a pothole, you lose the contract. As soon as anything resembling a pothole, you fill it. At the end of every month, we will pay you so much. That money will come from some road user tax or something that is, closed. Everybody knows the road users, everybody. And you will never see a pothole again.
Well, if the civil servant will allow that to work.
But that's the point
But the
we're making.
system is clear. You see, this is the thing. Human beings can create problems, but the problem human beings create is also easy to solve because you can anticipate them. That's where leadership and institutions comes in. Once you know who's going to inhibit your situation, you think of the solution as well.
Anyway, we can go on and on about this, but I think our time is out and it's time to go. Everybody who lives in Lagos better be talking about this in their rooms and be doing something about it if they want to live a healthy, normal life. Because somebody tells me in authority that X number of hours a day is being lost in the lifespan of everybody who lives in Lagos because of the traffic. That's why I'm moving out of Lagos. So you guys have a problem. Me, I'm moving out. I'm going back to my village. Period.
Let us breathe in Lagos.
All right. We'll see you next week. This has been Patitos Gang.